Welcome to the Lost Interviews with Ray Shaw Show.
Hey, Michael, Ray Shasha with Examiner and CBS. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
That's good. Are you in California today?
Yes, I am.
How's the weather?
Actually, it's not a bad day. There's hardly any clouds. We've got a little bit of sunshine, and it's about, 68 degrees? Yep.
Oh, well, we're lucky. The rest of the country is really suffering. They're going to have some horrible weather in South Carolina and up the East Coast over the next few days.
Yeah, I saw that on the news, yeah.
Yeah. You know who lives about 15 minutes from me down here? Graham Edge.
Oh, he does? Graham lives down there, huh?
He lives in Sarasota, and I'm in Bradenton, and I got a lot of friends that play golf with him.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. So we're going to be promoting the two releases the re-releases, The Promise and Among the Stars.
Right.
You released Promise, I think, in '76, and Among the Stars somewhere around 1995, I guess.
Yeah, that's 94.
Oh, 94.
Yeah.
And you got to cut some new bonus tracks on there that features, I guess, your sons.
Right, one of them, or both of them. With Mike and Matt on the album? Yeah. Yep, both my sons.
They're both on. Yeah, they're excellent.
Two of my three.
Yeah, and you have one that's actually does things for motion pictures, right? Does he?
That's right, and that's Dan.
Right.
He's in Los Angeles.
He's in L.A. Man, you got a talented family.
I do.
That's awesome.
All down to my dad.
Oh, really? What did your dad do?
A piano player.
Oh, he's a piano player.
Yeah.
How about your mom?
She'd sing a little bit. Dad was banjo, piano, and a couple of things like that, yeah.
Yeah, I admire that. I talk to a lot of people that, you can tell where their background, from the family. It's in the blood, right. Pretty much. Yeah. Well, I wanted to start just kind of talking, and we'll talk a little bit about the Moody Blues.
Yep.
One thing that was amazing to me throughout the years is how the Moody Blues transformed themselves from, basically a kind of an R&B, I guess, pop.
Yeah, the Go Now days.
Yeah, the Go Now days, and then transformed, into kind of a progressive rock band.
Right.
Because a lot of bands from the early '60s, a lot of bands didn't make it. They couldn't make that transition,
Yeah, right.
So that was an amazing thing you guys did. Yeah. And I tell you what, one of the early songs that I really enjoyed was actually "I Don't Mind," but the James Brown cover. That was incredible.
Yeah.
That was you, right?
I can't remember. What album was that on?
I Don't Mind was, I don't remember what album it was. I couldn't find what,
Yeah, it was me, I think, yeah. I Don't Mind. Yeah.
That was a very good cover of James Brown. It's hard to do a good cover of James Brown, but you guys mastered it. It was awesome.
Wow.
And then you backed up, I guess you backed up Sonny Boy Williamson back in the early days too, right?
That's right, we did, yeah.
Yep.
And that was in band number 1, yeah.
And then, yep.
Then Ray.
Who are some of the artists that kind of got you into becoming, a professional musician?
Can you rephrase that?
Who are some of the early, the guys that you got into?
Oh, well, we did a tour with Sonny Boy Williamson.
Right.
6-week tour.
But who are some of the guys that inspired you, back in those days, in England?
Well, gosh, I mean, for me it goes back because my dad was a piano player.
Right.
So, I got music from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s. But when I heard, the first time I heard, after Elvis and everything, but the first time I heard the Beatles' first tune, that was it. That was the signal to me. And I was in Germany at the time in the military. And I happened to be in well with the colonel of the camp because he was very religious, and every Sunday morning he sent for me, and one morning he said, "Pinder," he said, I understand you play piano. I was playing for the guys in the mess,
Right.
And he said, how about doing something on, he was very religious, he said, how about playing a couple of hymns for me on Sundays? Oh, yes, sir, no problem, sir, right?
Huh.
I I'd also found out that there was a guy who played bass, and there was a guy who played drums.
Right.
And so the colonel gave us the equipment to play, and he said, "All I want you to do is play a few hymns on Sunday mornings."
Right.
So there I am in Germany, and I listened to the radio on Saturday mornings, and I heard this song. I can't remember which one it was, but it was. What was that?
Was it She Loves You, I think?
No, it was. She Loves You, yeah, yeah, yeah. The Beatles.
Right. So, yeah, I'm here.
Oh yeah. I heard the first Beatles songs come on the radio, and that was like, oh yeah, I got to get out of here, and I was already signed up for quite a few years. So I went and saw the colonel, and I told him what was happening. He said no problem. And within about 10 days, I was back in England and demobbed.
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
So how did you get out of the military? I mean.
No, just because the colonel of the camp,
Right.
I played for him every Sunday morning because he was very religious.
Right.
And so, he knew what was. I told him what was going on, and went up and met to his office and said,
Right.
"Can I have a chat with you?"
Yep.
And he just. I said, "This is what's happening." He said, "Well, no problem, Pinder." He said, "We'll take care of you. Thanks for all the music that you played for us." And within 2 weeks, I was back in England.
What a nice guy, huh?
Yeah, beautiful guy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was, because prior to that I had a band called the Rocking Tuxedos, was my first band,
Right.
and Ray had a band,
Right.
and we sort of got to know each other, and then as soon as we heard, by the time we got to about the third Beatles hit, that was it. And so Ray and I decided to put a band together, and we called it the Moody Blues.
Yep.
The reason we called it Moody Blues was because my mum ran a big 7-bar English pub.
Really?
And the name of the beer company was called Mitchells and Butlers,
Right.
M&B.
Right.
Right? So I thought, well, we could get on the circuit because they had probably 100 different pubs,
Yep.
So I thought, well, if we do that, maybe that'll get us in too. So I thought, M&B beer, and I thought, well, Moody, because the song was it Mood Indigo.
Right.
It stuck with me as a kid.
Right.
And we were playing blues tunes,
Yep.
So that's how I came up with the Moody Blues.
You guys were kind of ahead of your time too, just like the Yardbirds were,
Yeah.
Yeah, because you didn't fall into that regular, Liverpool, pop style.
Yeah.
You guys were very different, just like the Animals were very different, and.
Yeah, exactly. It was like we're all on the road, but we all took a different direction,
Yep. Yeah. Plus, you were from Birmingham, which was also different.
Instead of Liverpool.
Exactly. I tell you, a lot of great rock bands came from Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yep. I think Alvin Lee was from Birmingham, wasn't he? 10 years after, and
I'm not sure because that was a little bit later than us.
right. And let's see. Well, I'm thinking about the later groups like Uriah Heep. I think those guys were also from Birmingham. But
yeah, they probably were, but I was sort of well into it and out of it, if you know what I mean. I wasn't digging deep, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. What was it like touring with the Beatles?
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely fabulous. It was just them and us.
Yep.
And there was a guy who was like a comedian.
Uh-huh.
And he would open the show and things like that, and his name was Pinder.
Pinder. Really?
Yeah. I can't remember his first name.
That's funny. It wasn't you, was it? I like because you guys basically, when you were in the early days, you guys kind of had an epiphany or a wake-up call because somebody came in your dressing room, somebody was watching the show and actually said you guys were the worst band he's ever seen, right? And that's kind of what changed you guys into the newer Moody Blues, right?
But it wasn't his. We just pissed him off,
That kind of changed your style, though, right? In that kind of where you kind of drop the suits and things like that, and kind of went a different direction, right?
Yeah.
After that, yeah.
Well, that was 64.
Right.
Was going out, and then
Right.
by 66, the hashish and marijuana was happening.
That's when things got really interesting. The good old days. But I think it's fascinating how you guys got into more of a surreal, fantasy, progressive rock path, and you can single out guys from the Moody Blues in the band, and you were the guy that probably got real serious, real deep, where maybe Justin was a little bit more pop, that kind of thing.
Right.
Which I really enjoy, by the way. I love all your stuff that you wrote with the Moody Blues.
Yeah, it came out really good. We had a wonderful time together. We did. Quite a few years. That was really worked,
You know what? I'm fascinated by the Mellotron.
Yeah.
That is an amazing instrument. When did you first introduce the Mellotron? Was that in the Moody Blues later on?
Well, I was introduced because when I got back out from the army, the colonel let me off.
Okay.
Because I heard the Beatles song, and I went to there was a company about 3 miles away from where I lived,
Right.
Where I was born and everything, and so I was looking for a job, and I read in the newspaper and they said they want somebody who's got a mechanical idea and and has music kind of thing. So I went for the job and got it, and it turned out to be the Mellotron company.
And the Mellotron itself, it's got each key. Is that like a recorded tape or something like that?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And what you had in the machine already was you had to kind of deprogram it into your own program or something like that.
Well, what I did was on the left-hand keyboard,
Right.
it would all be like rhythm sections and things like that.
Right.
Right, and on the right was just for soloing, and so I didn't need the cheesy rhythms, so
Right.
to speak.
Right.
So what I did was I took those out and put another right-handed version in the left. So I had 2 Mellotrons, one on my left hand and one on my right.
How do you input the new stuff, though? How does that work? The new tape or whatever, the new sounds.
Well, that was the job that I did, was the manufacturers, because when I got out of the military, having heard the Beatles' first couple of songs,
Right.
I was looking in the paper for a job, and they said, we want somebody who's got, mechanical ideas.
Gotcha.
And music, so I went up there and saw the Mellotron, and that was like, wow, this is it,
That's incredible. You're definitely a pioneer when it comes to that instrument, because so many people followed you after that, I think.
Yeah, well, I was lucky enough to be able to turn on to the Beatles onto the Mellotron, and I called them, and they sent 4 Mellotrons to the Beatles.
So I can thank you for Strawberry Fields.
Yes, exactly.
Thanks, Mike.
And then, of course, I was lucky enough to get on the Beatles tour, the last Beatles tour.
Yeah, the last one, that's right. You sure did. And you were also on Imagine, weren't you?
Yes.
Yep. You played, let me see, you played Tambourine?
Tambourine on I Don't Want to Be a Soldier Mama.
Right. And I talked...
The Mellotron, because I turned them on to the Mellotron, when I got there,
Right.
all the tapes were all hanging out. Nobody knew how to, handle it or anything, so I couldn't play Mellotron on that. So I grabbed the tambourine, I got on the drummer's hi-hat,
Right.
and went for I Don't Want to Be a Soldier Mama.
Wouldn't that be cool if you had played the Mellotron on Strawberry Fields?
That would have been nice, but you know what? I was very happy that day that I couldn't wait for that to hear what they would do with the Mellotron.
Now, who played it? Was that Paul or John that on the album?
I honestly don't know.
Huh? I never thought about that. You never know. It could be George Martin. he definitely did so much for the Beatles. It's amazing,
Yeah. I'm thinking it was probably Paul and John.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Days of Future Past. Would you say that was your Sgt. Pepper's for the Moody Blues?
I would say so. I mean, it was apparently the first stereo record that
Yep.
Becker ever did. The one thing that I did get to play on the Beatles, by the way, was I played harmonica on the Walrus.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
On 2 songs, but I can't remember what the other one was.
Really? Huh. That's interesting.
My wife is looking it up right now.
You got to look up your own history. That's funny.
That's right, yeah.
You know how many artists I talk to that actually go on Wikipedia to do their bios on their websites? It's so funny.
Wikipedia?
Yeah, Wikipedia, yeah. I've added...
Yeah, that's funny.
What I do, after I do interviews and I learn things, then I add it to Wikipedia, because...
Right.
Yeah.
He goes to Wikipedia. I'm telling my wife he goes on Wikipedia to find information on the bands.
Okay, Tom, it was Walrus and Fool on the Hill you played.
Yeah, Walrus and Fool on the Hill.
And Fool, really? You're on both of those, huh?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
You and Ray both.
Me and Ray both, yeah.
Sounds organized.
How about that?
Yeah, we played the harmonicas. Boom, 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 all that stuff.
That's right. That's right. 2 of my favorite songs, too, by the Beatles. Huh.
Yeah.
Sounds organized.
Yeah, they had every kind of harmonica you could believe.
Yeah.
Everything in, and we ended up doing the same thing once the band got off,
That's amazing. You know who I just covered here in Sarasota and hung out with a bit was John Mayall. He was just here.
Oh, yeah?
He had his 80th birthday.
Wow.
Well, he's such a nice guy, too.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. He was on stage setting up his own equipment. Can you believe that?
Actually, I can.
He's just, he doesn't consider himself a superstar or anything, just a musician,
Right.
Which is pretty cool, and he is a superstar in my opinion.
I call him lucky musicians,
Yeah, yeah, good guy. One thing that always sticks out, if I pick one thing from the Moody Blues that to me defines the Moody Blues, it's going to be you reading Late Lament and Morning Glory. I mean, that to me defines what the Moody Blues are. Just that those kind of lyrics and that kind of thing. I mean, you the way you read lyrics or poetry like that is amazing. I mean, you should be an actor. You got that
I'm sure I considered it at some point, but music was what I loved.
You got that Shakespearean thing going on too, on top of that. It is so cool. The other one, have you heard, from On the Threshold of a Dream, The Voyage, and Have You Heard Part 2? That was all you too. You wrote some great music. What inspired you to write that?
Oh, it just came from the heart, from the mind. And, the things that I'd listened to over the years. I was born in 41.
Right.
End of 45, my mom called me in from the garden. I was collecting spiders on a loop of it, watching the spiders bite.
Right.
And she called, Michael, come here, I want you to meet somebody. And there was my dad.
Right.
He just got back from France.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Huh. That's kind.
She introduced my dad to me.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you haven't seen him for a long time then, I guess.
Yeah, well, I'd never really seen him because he was in France. He was in the military. He was a sergeant.
Right.
In the motor platoon.
Huh. So the military ran in your family then. Music in the military.
Yeah. One of the other things of my youngest thing was I used to, when everybody was at work and the older kids were all at school.
Right.
I used to get a privet stick and strip all the leaves off it and turn it into a bow.
Oh, really?
And then I'd go put it behind the little spider webs.
Uh-huh.
Onto the web, and then I'd go to another one and put one on there, and I'd watch the spiders fight.
That's interesting.
And there wasn't any spiders left in my garden, so I went across the street. Everybody was at work, of course. And I'm in the front garden, and I'm doing my picking the spiders off on the webs, watching them fight. And I turned around, and there's this guy standing at the front door.
Right.
And he looked like Michael Rennie.
Right.
Really tall and everything, right?
Right.
The Day the Earth Stood Still, that movie. And I was there, and I turned around,
Right.
And he's just like Michael Rennie.
Huh.
And he said, look up there. And I looked up, and I saw formations of different kinds of spaceships.
Now, where did you see? You saw it up in the sky?
Yeah.
Really?
He pointed up and told me to look up.
Uh-huh.
So I've always been, into the outer space thing,
Right.
And he sort of disappeared, but...
You mean he disappeared, or the spaceship disappeared?
Yeah, it was one of those miraculous things,
Wow.
Yeah, it stays with you your whole life,
Was that the only time you've seen a UFO, or did you ever see anything else?
Oh, no. In 1966, with the first band,
Right.
we were coming back from Manchester around midnight.
Uh-huh.
And we always wanted to get back to London before dawn, otherwise we'd have trouble getting to sleep.
Right.
And we're coming down from Manchester on the day that they opened the M6 motorway.
Okay.
Right, so we're driving home that must be 1 o'clock in the morning. And I'm sitting in the back, and I would put my head back and look out the back window.
Right.
And look at the stars and that kind of thing, right? So we're driving down there, probably doing 60 miles an hour. It was the day the M6 opened. There was nobody on it, right? And we're driving down there, and I said, I don't remember that radio station over there, because there was this red light.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would put on top of what do you call it? Where they're bouncing the sound from one place to another.
Right.
I said, hey guys, pull over, right? And we got out the car, and we're all looking over the top of the car, and this red ball kind of thing went. It started as it looked like a red ball, but then as it moved across the freeway, it actually turned into a square.
Huh.
Just like a dice.
Right.
Only it was red. And then it went down behind some woods. I said, pull over, Clint. He was driving.
Yep.
And we all got out of the car looking over the top. And it was down, there was like a furrow, from the fence of the freeway.
Mm-hmm.
It went down into down a little hill. And it came up, and as it came up the hill to the fence, and then it came across, it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and came right over the top of us, right? And we were bathed in this sort of strange blue light. And our thing was always to get home before it got dark, before it got light.
Right.
And we lost 3 hours. We got home, 3 hours late. And what the heck was that?
Yeah.
So that really solidified the fact that my nickname was Micky the Moonboy as a kid.
I like that.
I was interested in... my dad used to do big deliveries, and he would bring like big crates, wooden crates home that weren't... they would bring it home so we could break it up and light the fire with it,
Yep.
And so we had one in the garden. It was kind of like a coffin, if you know what I mean. It had a lid on. And I would put a blanket in and a cushion. I'd just lie in there so I couldn't see anything except the sky.
Yep.
That was one of my favorite things to do, was to just watch the sky,
Yep.
So we're driving down there, and I said, look at that radio station,
No, you were talking about being in the back and the top of it.
Yeah, I just talked about that.
No, you're talking about being a little kid. You were telling the story when you were a little kid and you look at the sky.
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, yep. Yeah, so that was the early parts, yeah.
Right.
Just, looking at the stars.
Yep.
Inside a wooden coffin.
Right.
Yeah. It got me into it, kind of thing. But then much later, of course, with 66 was when we first time we saw the UFO,
Oh, do you follow all those shows on television, and they like Ancient Aliens, and do you follow?
Yeah.
So do I. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
There's too many sightings. It's definitely something out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I just wish we had contact one day. I think this world could use that.
Yeah. Well, have you ever read any Zachariah Sitchin?
No.
Oh, he's the guy.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to look him up.
He's one of the few guys who could read all of the ancient scripts of the Middle East.
Right.
Transcripts, you know. And I've got some videos of his, and his books are fantastic. He could read all of these various sort of ancient scripts. Zachariah Sitchin, you might want to look him up on the web.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Unfortunately.
I don't know how they decipher that. That's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, hence I ended up with the nickname Micky the Moonboy.
Micky the Moonboy, yep.
Yep.
You know, I had this conversation with Chris Squire, you know, from Yes. He told me, he believes, he wrote a song about this, that the UFOs are actually us from the future coming back, you know?
Yep, that's a possibility.
Yep. He says they're...
Don't wipe that out.
Yeah, you can't wipe that out. Do you have any regrets leaving the Moody Blues?
No, I don't, because I was really quite happy
Right.
what I'd achieved, what Ray and I had achieved. You know, we had what we wanted. You know, we'd conquered it.
Do you still talk to the guys, or?
I talk to Ray a lot. We're still the best buddies. You know, we're the guys who started the band.
Right. Exactly. You know what I find fascinating? My dad was in retail electronics in D.C. for years. And we were the first ones in D.C. to carry Pong and Atari and all the cartridges. And you worked for Atari, didn't you, when you left?
Yes, I did for a while.
That's pretty fascinating. What did you do with it?
I was demonstrating for them.
Did you really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were one of the first ones in D.C. to carry Atari, and then later on there was in television, you know, and but Pong was like, you know, big time back then when that came out.
I think I've still got my original one in the garage.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Did you modify it to make it a little, you know, more interesting?
No, it did the job.
How long did you work for Atari?
It was like I was only hooked up with them as a demonstrator, you know.
Right.
It wasn't very long.
It was at the right time, though, obviously.
It was at the right time, yeah. So it was all sort of pre the band, you know.
Right. Michael, what else you got going on these days? I'm gonna promote the new release, which also has a video with it as well, right?
That's right. Yeah, this video I got it in front of me, in fact, yeah.
And anything else you want to promote? Anything coming?
Anything else I want to promote? Yeah, well, the boys, two of my sons.
Right.
My eldest son Dan is in Los Angeles, and he's a music editor in the movie business.
Yep.
And then Mike and Matt have their own business here, and they teach music.
Okay. Any future collaborations? You want to reach out to, or?
Yeah. Well, and also the boys, Mike and Matt, have their own musical situation, and they teach. They have they did 4 albums.
Oh, good.
And they ended up being a teaching, and they're really good writers, you know, but nothing clicked at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're still, you know, they still work. Matt does a lot of gigs playing bass for some of the good players around.
Okay.
Kevin Russell, Kramer Clapton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Mike, and they did a couple of albums, the Pinder Brothers.
Right.
4 albums.
Well,
you didn't quite hook up for them, so they stuck, and they're still working, they're still doing things, songs and things, but they also have their own music teaching thing.
I'll make sure I give them a nice plug as well in the article.
Yeah, that would be great.
Michael, here's a question that I ask everyone that I interview, okay?
Yeah.
If you had a Field of Dreams wish, like the movie Field of Dreams, to play, sing, or collaborate with anyone from the past or present, who would that be? And you can pick more than one person.
Well, actually, I did get to do the one bunch of first people that I wanted to do, and that was I played with on some of the Beatles stuff.
Right, that would be your first choice to play with the Beatles.
Yeah, when we did the last Beatles tour of England, so that all made sense, you know.
Yeah. Were you friends with anyone specifically in the Beatles, with John or?
Well, all of them actually.
Yep.
I played on a couple of John's Imagine album.
Yep.
Tell me the story about Paul giving you the song
remember the song "Those Were the Days"?
Oh yeah, Mary Hopkins.
Mary Hopkins. Well, Paul gave the song to us
Really?
first,
I didn't know that.
and we liked the song, but we said it's just not for us.
Right.
Right? Yeah, and I told Paul, thanks a lot, Paul, but it's just not quite us.
Yep.
So it turned out to be a one-hit wonder for her.
Yeah. She's
And I kind of sense that, if you know what I mean.
yeah. She sang it beautifully too.
Yeah, she did.
She did a great job with that.
Yeah.
I had one last question, and it just left my mind for some reason.
That's okay. How old are you, by the way?
I just turned 55.
55.
Yeah.
Okay, you're old enough to know about it.
Yeah. Oh, I just what was I going to say? Oh, the interview. You're going to be following my interview with Petula Clark. I just talked to Petula Clark a couple weeks ago.
Oh, great.
And when I asked her that question, the Field of Dreams question, you're not going to believe what she said. She picked Pink Floyd. She would like to play with Pink Floyd. Can you believe
I
that?
like to play with people. Good choice.
Good choice, but I would have never thought. She's 81 now.
She's 81.
81. Yeah, she's awesome. She's a nice lady too.
Yeah.
Well, I think
We're so lucky because we played with so many great bands, especially working with the Beatles, getting a chance on some of their records, and we did the last Beatles tour.
Yep.
So for me personally, that was it for me. That was
Yep.
wow.
Yeah. Any plans for touring or maybe getting together with Ray or anybody yet?
No, we're not really doing anything, but Ray and I are still like brothers.
Yep.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to him, and right now, almost every day I've got a picture of him, and they sent me a silly card.
Yeah.
So it's up where I can see it every day.
Yeah.
And we're hoping to go back to England for a while and we'll stay with Ray and do some fishing.
Oh, that'll be great. I just one last thing. Graham Edge made the National Enquirer. I don't know if you heard that or not.
Yeah, we did hear about somebody at Graham Edge and misperforming in the back of a car.
Yes, and that happened here. So.
It happened where he is, yeah. What a dork.
It's funny. The local news didn't catch it, but the National Enquirer did. So
Yeah.
they must have some inside information or something.
Yeah. Well, he kind of deserves what he gets.
Yeah, I guess so, doesn't he?
Yeah. What a dork.
Michael, thank you so much for being on the call today, man. But more importantly, for all the incredible music you've given us, throughout the years. And we really hope to see you again in the limelight.
Yeah. Well, thank you, and I appreciate you calling and giving us a chance to have a chat about it.
It's been great, and we're gonna promote the hell out of the albums, the new releases and the video for you, and also the kids.
Oh, great!
Alrighty.
That's wonderful. And if you think of something, just give me a call.
I sure will, Michael.
Yeah, happy to.
I'm writing a second book. I'm also an author, and your interview will be included. It's going to include 100 interviews, recent interviews. So you're going to be part of that as well.
Okay. Well, if you think of some things that you want to jot down and give me a call back, I'll be happy to do it.
I sure will. Thank you so much, Michael. All right. Take care.
Okay. Thanks so much for calling.
Thank your wife also.
Yeah. Well, she's here kicking my ass. Yeah.
Okay. I know. I got one of those too.
Yeah, you got one too. Remember that song, American Woman?
Yep. Exactly. He knew what he was talking about.
He's married to one too.
Yep, that's what they do. They're always in the background,
Yeah.
adding their comments.
That's right, yeah. She got a baseball bat, actually.
Oh, no. Well, I'll leave you to it then.
Okay, well, if you think of something, call back, okay?
Okay, Michael, thanks again.
Okay, man, nice talking with you.
Nice talking to you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, cheers.
Thank you for joining, and please subscribe to Ray's YouTube channel.